And if that opportunity ever occurred that we would actually have a public debate, Tom, I would say that you need to. There's a reading list that you need to take. Number one, I would suggest John Locke's first treatise on government, then his second treatise on government. I would also recommend the 5,000-Year Leap. You need to read that one. You also need to read Frederick Bastier's The Law. These are books, and I'm wondering if you've even read Common Sense. I don't know if you've actually read the book or not. I would highly suggest if you have read any of these, you need to go back and read them a second time. If you haven't, I suggest you buckle down and read them, because you need to learn the real information before you start posting this smut. This is a book you need to retract, and retract it soon, before another person reads it, that's for sure. Okay, Tom Mullen here, he says, they cannot be taken away by any power on earth, your rights, unalienable rights, including a majority vote. Well, Tom, let's say the majority decides that man doesn't have unalienable rights. Does man no longer have unalienable rights because the majority voted it? Of course you're going to say no, but then I ask you on what basis that you're claiming that. Again, it comes back down to on whose authority that you're claiming this. Are you just saying it? Because if you're just saying it and it's your own opinion, then all you're doing is coming out and doing the same thing the majority just did, is that they claimed all their opinion. And if you want to say, well, John Locke says, well, all you've done is gone from your opinion and to some other man's opinion. That's all you've done is just pushed it aside. That doesn't get rid of it. It's still there. So you need to say on what basis that you're claiming that this can't be taken away by a majority vote. The only way something cannot be taken away by a majority vote is that you have to have a standard outside of man. This has to be God. God is the only one outside of man. So he goes on continually to say these are rights that you're born with. Well, why do you claim that? And he says the rights that you're born with, of course, then he argues the right to life from majority opinion, as we demonstrated in episode 1. A privilege is something that's granted by another person, group, or government. I agree, Tom. And it's funny because the word license in its definition defines privileges, or not, excuse me, the definition of freedom in its definition defines licenses and privileges. And here you are speaking out against them. That's very interesting. But this is privilege is something granted by another person, group, or government. Well, if it's not granted by any man, who's it granted by? So he goes, I'm not going to continue on this because, you know, he says, oh, but I have to mention one more thing in this, and this is sad. You can see what he's doing. Again, watch this. He says, there is no need to be thankful that we have the rights that we have in America. And he put those in quotations. Now, where is he quoting that from? First of all, he gives no references to that. Second, to be thankful for the rights that we have in America, there's no need for it? Well, what's he claiming here? He's claiming it's man's opinion that determines rights, so you don't need to be thankful to anything. Tom, you are going directly against the first presidents and their proclamations of fasting, thanksgiving, and prayer. They made days that they wanted the American people to set aside for fasting, thanksgiving, and prayer to Almighty God to thank them for the liberties we have in this country. Congress put out multiple proclamations of thanksgiving and prayer, set aside holidays, thanksgiving and prayer to Almighty God for blessings received. You are going in direct violation to all the things that they put out at the inception of this country. Why? Why do you claim that you're trying to get back to the things that we started with, but rejecting the things we started with? Are you ignorant, Tom, or are you lying? I really want to know, and I'm starting to get very, very suspicious about this. Folks, in the next few chapters, he continually refers to this Ayn Rand's philosophy on objectivism, this non-aggression principle. He references to them repeatedly when he talks about property rights, when he talks about the role of government, as if this is the God he's worshiping. It's, oh, man's senses, this is it, you know, this is what creates this absolute standard. No, because all of this, no matter what you think that you sense, I can break up another person who feels differently. And the New World Order, everything that you're writing in here, Tom, the New World Order says differently. So who's right, you or them? This goes back to my original question on whose authority do you justify that your cause is right and the New World Order's cause is wrong? And just assume there's no God. What answer do you have? There's others on here in the comments who said, well, I feel that it's right, or, you know, it's right this way because I think it is, so therefore it is. And a lot of times they get this sanctimonious tone in their voice, you know, like, oh, it's just how I feel, it's our human feelings, we evolved this way, you know. And it's just kind of ridiculous because the New World Order feels differently. So you're back to square one. You've got to answer this question, otherwise this whole thing, I mean, this thing anyway, you know, Tom, this book, it's junk. What's the point? What's the purpose? I mean, you're trying to argue, again, for man's opinion with this smut. I don't see how, you know, that you were able to get this to be published the way it was. I guess really takes the reader not having to do any research, because you've got people in the back here. You've got Peter Schiff promoting your book, saying that this is a great thing that will open your eyes. No, it's not. I'll be happy to debate Peter Schiff. I'm sure he's very good on economic policies. I'm very sure he's a brilliant economist. That has nothing to do with truth. I think Peter Schiff's probably very ignorant when it comes to real liberty. I'll be happy to debate Peter Schiff on that issue. Wayne Allen Root you have on the back here, vice presidential candidate, nominee. Libertarian Party vice presidential nominee, promoting your book. I'll be happy to debate Wayne Allen Root, because if he's going to promote this kind of smut, I just can't support that. Look, let me give you the definition of retardation. It is slowness or limitation of intellectual understanding and awareness, or academic progress. Tom, this book's retarded. I mean, by definition, this is retarded. You obviously didn't do your research if you want to claim ignorance, or you're lying on purpose to try to gain a majority opinion, so that way you can, if you gain a majority opinion, somehow your book will magically become true. That's ridiculous. That is stupid, as I defined earlier, and it's retarded. There's no sense for that whatsoever. Look, the bottom line is this. Guys, I'm probably going to create one, maybe two more episodes discussing this book, because I want to use this as a primary example of the corruptions of our liberty. And this is it. If Tom Mullen, now so far he has not commented, I've looked at different sources, he has not commented on anything that I posted these on so far. It's possible he hasn't read them. I'm going to try to send them to him more directly this time. If he does not, and I will write him the same thing I'm saying right now, if he does not take the time to at least make a response, let alone retract this book, or burn this book, or do something with it, at the very least revise it to correct it, I am going to have to say in the next episode that Tom Mullins is lying. He's lying on purpose about this stuff, because there will be no way out of it. Even if he wants to, Tom, if you want to dodge it, like you dodged a lot of topics on the forums, I've seen you do it. You'll respond to people who agree with you, but anybody who disagrees with you, you don't want to discuss it. Okay, if you want to dodge it on there, fine. If you want to dodge this, I'm going to have to say that you're lying, because that's willful ignorance, Tom. And the Bible predicts that there will be people come in the last times that will be willingly ignorant of these things. So, anyway, that's it for the second episode. That's all I wanted to cover for the time being. We'll go on to a few other points in episode 3. If we don't get them all covered by that time, because these are getting kind of long, I'll probably do it in episode 4. So, anyway, everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned for the next one, and we'll see you then, okay? Thanks.